Good evening, everybody. Thanks for joining us here on News Channel 5+ Open Line. We're so happy that you're tuning in with us this evening. We appreciate the phone calls and questions, as this is Open Line, Ask the Expert, and they're the experts sitting next to me. This is Amy Kelley, Director of Marketing and Community Relations, and Jessica Nowlin, Director of Nursing at Creekside at Three Rivers Assisted Living with Memory Care. And we have been already kicking off the show talking about a lot of things tonight. And, you know, one thing we wanted to talk about after we were in the break, I said, let's talk a little bit about kind of what you need to look for when you're trying to figure out assisted living. Is my loved one ready for this? Am I ready for this? What do people need to pay attention to?
Sure. Like I said earlier, I think touring is the biggest thing you can do. I think popping in when they're not expecting it, and then you really need to look for the sense of culture within the community. Does it seem relaxed? Do the residents look happy? Those are all things you want to pay attention to. The smells, the cleanliness. Do the staff look happy? All of those things, because that's a true testament to what it's really like there. I've even had families, as they're walking out, they'll stop and talk to a resident underneath, you know, on the front porch, and ask them, hey, do you like living here? What's it like? And I can say 100% of our residents will say, I love it here. And I think that's the biggest thing, is to really just sit and talk to the residents and tour. I think tour.
Definitely. And it's kind of a different perspective from you, Jessica, being Director of Nursing, that some advice you have on the same question.
You really want to look at all of the other residents, and as she had said, what they look like. Do they look clean? Are they well dressed? Do they look like they're happy? Do they look like they're healthy? Look into the living areas, the community areas, and see how people are interacting with one another. You really want to get that sense of community and see these friendships that you develop as you live in an assisted living. And always, you look for the odor. You go in and you smell. You can tell a lot about a facility by the way it smells, by how clean it is. And take a look at the staff. Look what kind of people they are. And as Amy said, do they look happy? Do they look like they enjoy their job? Do they look like they enjoy what they do? And are they interacting with the residents, or are they sitting around on their phones?
You know, Jessica, what's something that you really try to encourage your staff to do every day?
To interact with their residents, all of them, especially the ones that rarely come out of their rooms, or the ones that seem down or depressed. To really keep an eye on their residents, to be there for them when they need them.
And that's outside of just the title of nursing. You're doing so much more.
It's really I would say a nursing and social work all at the same time. Just the well-being of the residents. And not only do you take care of the residents, you take care of the families. They come in, and you know, most families, I wouldn't say most, but a lot of families have a hard time making this decision for their loved one. Unfortunately, we have situations where there's a crisis and people make last-minute decisions, and they feel rushed and they're worried that they're making a poor decision. So that's when they rely on the staff at our community to build them up and let them know this is a great decision. You're going to be happy. You're going to see such a huge change. So we do a lot of counseling, I would say. And then also I would encourage, you know, at Creekside we have a wonderful Facebook page, and I always, when I have tours come in, I always say, please look at our Facebook page, because you'll see daily pictures, you'll see our daily calendar, you will see our outings that they're going on. Today we had a musician come in, we posted a video of that, and our residents dancing. So those are all great things to look at when you're looking for that community.
And, you know, speaking of fun things to do, it is summertime. Do you guys have anything exciting going on right now?
We do. In July 25th, we're having a big summer party. It's our summer solstice celebration, and it's actually a fundraiser for the Alzheimer's Association for the Rutherford County Walk. We're sponsors for that walk. We've always been sponsors for that walk. And so we are raising funds. We're charging at the door. We're having a live band, food, open bar.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I'm there.
A lot of great things, and all of the proceeds will go to the Alzheimer's Association. We have some great vendors that are sponsors as well, and they're setting up booths for education. Everyone ranging from home health, hospice,
Therapies.
therapy, VA, not attorneys, but VA aid and attendants, individuals who can help apply for those extra funds to pay for assisted living, things like that. So I encourage everyone to come to Creekside in Murfreesboro on July 25th at 4:30.
Wonderful.
And we have a lot of outdoor activities planned for our residents. They do a lot of gardening. They go on a lot of outings. Lately, they've gone to Bell Buckle to get ice cream, taking a ride through the country. We do what we can to encourage as many people to get out and do things as we can, to get not only out of their apartment, but out of the campus too.
Yeah, you all really aren't just a part of your own community. You're part of the community around Murfreesboro.
Yeah, we're locally owned. I think that's the biggest thing for us, is locally owned and operated. So there is a sense of community within our community to be part of Murfreesboro. We do a lot of functions with even other assisted livings, nursing homes, home health, things like that, to really just provide education and support to the community, so that we want to give back.
Yeah, our seniors, they don't really want to leave the home that they've always known, because they think they're going to be giving up a part of their freedom or their happiness in life. But really, what you all have mentioned before on shows previously here on Open Line is really talking about they get there, and in a short amount of time they realize this is fun, and they're actually even happier than they really were proven wrong.
Right, it is. Yes. I would say, and our biggest thing is, when you know you're ready for assisted living, or when you know a loved one may be, is isolation. We see that a lot with our population, and they don't realize how isolated they are until they move into a setting where they're surrounded by people. And I'm sure Jessica hears it way more than I hear it, but families say all the time, I didn't know they could be, do this well, and they were so social. I didn't even think they'd like to go to these activities, and they go all the time. So I think that's the biggest thing, is removing them from an isolated setting.
We're talking about all these wonderful features and amenities that you have, and just overall the love and compassion that you think you can feel within the walls at Creekside and outside. But who pays for assisted living? That's one of the biggest questions we get. We get calls as we have the show. People want to know, who pays? How can we afford this?
Yeah, I will be honest, it's not a cheap endeavor. It is a worthwhile endeavor, and ways that it's paid for, of course, are private funds. People may use their Social Security, if they have a pension, a savings account. A lot of times people will sell a home and use those funds. They also may have a long-term care insurance. That's a big one. There are great policies. John Hancock is one of them. They pay, every policy is a little different. They may pay per day. They may pay in a lump sum. It just depends on the policy. Also, individuals may utilize the VA benefits. It's VA aid and attendance. That is for people who are either a veteran and served during wartime, or they're a spouse of a veteran. And those funds are available as well. You have to go through an application process. The VA doesn't advertise it. It's free funds, but we have people that we work with closely that can help apply for those things. But insurance, unfortunately, does not pay for assisted living. That's used more for skilled care, for that rehab setting that you're looking for.
So obviously some options.
Yes, definitely. And the great thing is, that's part of the tour, is I sit down and I work with you. I learn, and sometimes it seems nosy, but it's really for me to sit down and kind of get a better picture of where you're at financially. I start asking questions. Are you a veteran? Are you a spouse of a veteran? So that I can help navigate you to get those funds so that you can pay, because that's ultimately what we want, is to help you be able to be in a great community like ours. So.
Exactly. And if you're listening to some of the things that Amy and Jessica have to say tonight, and you really aren't wanting to call in live, that's okay. But Amy always encourages you to call Creekside and really ask some of the questions that maybe you're hearing tonight. You're starting, this sounds interesting. I think I may have to give this place, maybe go check it out. And really, that's, you always encourage that.
Of course.
For sure.
Of course.
And of course, the website, you can always check that out. And you can also kind of take a tour of the campus from the website, because there's a lot of photos and information as well. Yeah. And one of my favorite things is it's pet friendly.
Right. Yes. It is very pet friendly.
And that goes back to really being able to customize your space at Creekside as your new home.
Right, of course.
Let's talk a little bit about Actually, before I do that, we have Daniel online. Well, let's get to Daniel. Forget about what I have to say. Let's get to our caller. Hi, Daniel. You're on Open Line. What would you like to say?
Yes, ma'am. Can you hear me?
Yes, we sure can. Welcome to the show.
How you doing, ma'am?
Pretty well. What would you like to say tonight?
Well, I'm a vet, and I can't even get insurance, and I got to go to the cheap doctors, and they want to sit there and prescribe me these meds, but I don't do drugs, and I got neuropathy in my feet, and I cannot hardly walk. So what should I do about it?
Thanks for the call. We appreciate it.
Well, unfortunately, I'm not a VA expert. The VA aid and attendance I know very little about. I just know that it's a fund that is available. Do you have any suggestions?
I would suggest that you keep trying to get a hold of your case manager and just let her know the problems that you're having, and maybe she can help you.
Definitely, Daniel. Thanks for tuning in, and as always, thanks for the calls tonight. We appreciate it. Also, let's the word medication popped up there, and this is what I was getting to before our caller, and it was just that there is a stigma, and there are stories about certain assisted living places that do over medicate, or just kind of take advantage in the way of over medicating the folks that are there. How really does your community manage medications and steer clear from that?
And we hear a lot about that, over medicating so that the resident will be easier to handle and easier to manage. We don't have any control over what the doctor prescribes, but as medical professionals, it is our responsibility to assess this resident and know how the medication is affecting them. And if we feel as though they are too sedated, we can hold that medication, not give it, contact the prescriber and let him know, hey, this is knocking them out, this is not the appropriate medication. We, as a whole, as a team, and most healthcare providers, we don't want to just dope your loved ones up so they're easier to deal with.
And I think being an advocate is the biggest thing that we can do as a team. There is some of the residents don't have family members that live locally. We take them to and from their doctor's appointments. So really just being an advocate for them, like Jessica said, contacting, letting them know, hey, this isn't normal. We don't think they're acting right. Can we try something else? I think that's the key.
Okay. So what are some things that you can't do? Is something to kind of talk about as well.
In assisted living, there are a few things that would prevent someone from being able to move into our community, and that would be pressure ulcers past a stage 2. My nurses aren't allowed to do any IV therapy. They're not allowed to do anything with G-tubes, no trachs, no ventilators, any real invasive medical procedures we are not able to do.
And the thing too is if they have a wound, develop a wound, and within or they go to the hospital and come back with a wound, something like that, we would contact home health to have them come
and do skilled wound care.
Okay, great. If you've ever had a loved one that maybe it's time to have that conversation, let's talk about assisted living, and also even further than that, memory care. If you have any questions that maybe are on your mind tonight, or just kind of any sort of feedback or a story that you'd like to tell, we still have a lot more to get to, so just keep it right here on News Channel 5 Plus for Open Line, where you are asking the experts.